pop the nut off. It's been shimmed with plastic. And I'm checking this brake, and there's still nothing to it. So I think we're going to be okay. Okay, so now while I'm waiting for that to dry, I'm going to go after this crack here. Just do a little bit of glue up on this and touch up. It's all good. Okay, so oddly, step number one is I'm going to touch this up. I'm going to be using super glue. And the problem is nothing colors super glue too well unless you mix it at the same time. So I'm just going to touch this up with a marker. And of course, can't do this one-handed either. Jeez. Just mask it a little bit. I've said it once, I will say it a million times. Whoever came up with the idea of the microtubes of super glue needs a donut. That's just brilliant. And while I was touching up, I noticed something. This is one of those things I love rubbing into people's faces. You know, you vintage Fender guys, how you're always going on about, oh boy, slab fretboards, slab fingerboards, right? Well, look, that's a slab fingerboard. Geez, so does that mean this thing's suddenly worth thousands of bucks more? I think not. And that's it. Man, can I even get the glint on it? Why am I using super glue? Well, I want it to soak in a little bit. There, you can see it. Let it soak in a little bit, and then when it hardens, I'll just sand it back. And I'll see if there's any divots on the necks that I can fill in with this stuff. Like I said, I couldn't even spread this thing to try to get the glue deeper, so it's a minor. So I'll just throw a clamp on that to be paranoid, and Bob's your uncle. Okay, so 3 drops. That's all I needed. And I got this clamped up. Well, at least you're wasting a quarter now as opposed to like $5 in the old days. Okay, a little bit of advanced paranoia because the next is going to be off for a bit here. Just using some of that grippy drawer liner mat stuff as protection on the back. So this stuff actually works great. Now you can get it cheap. Once again, gotta love dollar stores. So probably should have cleaned the bench off before I put these in. Don't remember a few days back? Oh yeah, time is not on my side. So I figure since I'm painting, I might as well start working on the fretboard here. There's a bit of guns. The frets are actually in pretty nice shape. Just need to be cleaned up. And the fretboard needs a good cleaning as usual. So out comes our friend Simple Green. Some scrubby time. I don't know if this thing's going to capture that beautiful shade of tan that the Simple Green is turning into. Yum, yum. I've dealt with worse, but still need some. Yeah, she's dry too, so I'm gonna have to oil her. That's a given. So I had to pick up some metal for doing up the pickguard. So made myself one of these things, fret guard things. I had one of these that I made years ago out of aluminum, but it got crinkled. So yeah, I know I'm a cheap prick, but whatever. It's a good thing I built that though. I can't find my tape. Crap. There's the classic G-string divot on the first couple of frets. Don't know if I'm going to be able to get those out, so I'm just going to start off with some 600 grit here. See what I can do. Works like a charm. This one's actually just a hair too thick. It's working, but I think that's why I went with aluminum with my first one, because it could be thinner. Got the marks out okay, so just a hair too wide, so that's not too bad. Where am I here? That's not too bad. That's the problem that I have with those ones you see online. They all look way too wide, so mind you, those are probably pretty good. Fret ends aren't bad on this thing though, so that's good. Okay, so I just gibbled myself, so got the frets done with the last of my 1200. I had to touch up a couple of bings on the back. Got it to 800. Discovered I'm out of 1200. Shoot. Yeah, I can always touch that up later. It's no big deal. So, on to the next step, which is this stuff. I worship barkeepers, friend. Talk to any drum restorer, they'll tell you. This stuff rules. So I'm sort of simultaneously doing the final polish on the frets with these, as well as cleaning any last minute junk off the fretboard. This stuff is such a nice fine abrasive. Look at that. Always fun, you gotta wash after, but this is good stuff. And I'm going to try hitting the back of the neck with this, see if I can bring back some of the gloss too. So the consistency is best left alone for discussion. But got a little much on here, but it works great. I keep forgetting, I need to thank anybody who's actually watching this stuff. I don't know, hopefully you're learning something. I don't know. Back in the old days, before there was, oh no, the old man's talking again. Back in my day, before there was the interweb, and you'd have to order in books on how to do guitar repair and stuff, it was all word of mouth. It was the only way to figure out how to do this stuff, so I think we should go back to that, frankly. A lot of false information that way, but man, it was a hell of a lot more fun. You got to hear better stories too. Yeesh. Rinsing this off. I think it actually did okay on this, so there you go. Let's see. Stories. Good stories. What good stories can the fat man tell you? Let's see. Oh, I know. Okay, so back in the 90s, I used to do a lot of fix and flip. Back when you could pick up stuff for like 25, 30 bucks and fix it up quick. Make, like, you know, sell it for 100 or whatever. It was all good. I found, what was it? I think it was a Granada jazz bass. Those 70s jazz basses where they would have like a fat chrome pickups. Kind of looked like telly neck pickups, but they were wider. Got an Econo, need a lot of fretwork and stuff, but I got it going. Of course, back then, couldn't find budget pickups worth a damn. I didn't feel like dropping, you know, 150 bucks worth of Duncans into it or whatever. So I just kind of left it. Sold it to a guy through buy and sell, and he was like, hey, would you mind upgrading the pickups for me? And I was like, yeah, okay, sure. I'll do that for you. And he brings over a pair of like 71 or 72 jazz bass pickups, gray slug bottoms. I was like, oh yeah, where'd you get those? And I guess he had the bass. The bass was a piece of crap, but it was really good pickup. So he took the pickups out and he kept swapping them into various jazz basses that he found over the years. So he was slapping these Fender, well, back then it would have been old. You know, that was before this vintage word had been invented. So he was slapping these old Fender pickups into this little Granada bass, which is pretty funny. But it was like a 5-tone sunburst finish. It was actually an awesome looking bass. Played really good too. So I think I can live with that. Might need a little more rubbing. Here's a quick trick from the old days, because I had no sandpaper. It still doesn't look that pretty, but whatever. It's playable, but it was still a little rough. It was a little too shiny, but I kind of cut the finish. That's where the divot was, which is smoothed out now. Here's a good one from back in the old days. Grab yourself a piece of felt or clean newspaper. I'm just using some of this foam stuff and just burnish the crap out of this thing, like really reef on it, and you'd be amazed at how smooth things get. You're just basically rubbing the finish back to a fine polish. This was dull, and now it's starting to get a shine back to it just from elbow grease and rubbing with this. Felt works great on this, but I ain't got no felt right now. So, okay, so now we'll oil up the board. Just some lemon oil here, just because still working through this can. Works good. See, that's what I brought it down to on the fretboard, just with the barkeep's friend. So almost done that. It's another one of those things where there's a lot of opinions about oiling fretboards and what to use and stuff like that. So I was always, back in the day, it was always lemon oil, and I've had this can over a decade, so it works. I know one thing some people talk about, you want to wipe it on and wipe it off, and some people say sit. I come from the school where it said sit, mainly because I'm in an area where the furnaces are on 6 months out of the year. And rosewood, especially cheap rosewood, is pretty susceptible to drying out in these conditions. So if you let it soak in a little bit, it's not like I use that much on this. Like, there's barely a reflection. So it's all good. In case you're wondering, I was going to take the tuners off, and then I realized when I went to order parts, I forgot. It's the national holiday over in China, so my parts are going to be late. So I'm probably going to have to string this up and have it under tension while I'm waiting for parts. So, but I think that's the neck pretty well done at this point. So I'm just going to throw it back under the clamp, and then I guess between coats of yellow, time to get going on the pick guard, I guess.